Hi, friends. Welcome to this next episode of Resonance. I'm your host, Cassandra Vogli. So, on this episode, I have my friend Travis. He is a 1-3 splenic projector on the cross of consciousness. He's got channel of initiation. He's a design of being a transmitter. Those are his two channels. We just connect and chat human design, relationships, parenting, deconditioning, all that good stuff. If you are enjoying this podcast, you can subscribe to it, like the episodes, or comment. I love reading the comments. They also help boost the posts and push it out more, so all is appreciated. Oh, last thing. I did a little experiment where AI edited this episode. I've done one other AI edited episode. The benefit was that I had no time editing, like it was just like done for me. Some parts it's like a little bit rushed or a little cut off, but it's I kind of like the benefit of it moving fast is that our time is valuable, and then there's the choppiness a little bit. But what I personally liked was how quickly it was to edit it. So we'll see. I'll fill out the format. Feel free to comment on it, but that's why it's like that. And at the end, my littles come home and interrupt us. So there's that too. Thanks, Travis, for being a good sport. Real life, third line, learning. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy and connect with me. I would love to hear from you. Okay, bye. If you want to, if it's correct. Hi, Travis. So this is our first time chatting in person. Well,
we could say in person now because this is how most of our meetings go.
But we've mostly just been chatting in DMs and
Yeah.
such.
Yeah.
But
I've watched some of your videos, and that's
oh
about
yeah, I recently I watched your latest, or well, most of it. I watched your latest live. I
it. Oh,
enjoyed it.
cool. Yeah,
I think it was your latest one where you do like some readings and stuff.
the mini readings and
Yeah, it was cool to watch you do that because I got to feel you a little more, as well as just like you. It almost surprised me how direct you would be
uh,
because I feel you're like so soft, but also it feels very projector and it felt very empowering at the same time. I liked how you didn't like for certain things. I like how you didn't beat around the bush. It's like, oh, that's like helpful to be direct like that.
I've really had to learn that with my design, knowing when to really push and really to let in, and then when to really soften and
I,
gentle.
how do you know?
I think just with awareness and being present in the moment, I think if I have something I want to get across and I go up into my head about it, then I can really miss the moment because I'm no longer with the person that's in front of me. But as long as I stay really present, I can just trust that 4426
I was gonna say the
will
splenic.
deliver the way it needs to deliver.
Yeah.
But then every once in a while, the 5125 can bring little shocks, I guess.
I like that channel. I grew up with it. My husband has it. So
Oh,
I like the show. I think that's why I also like Raw too.
same.
I don't have any part of it either. So I think there's when something is a dominance versus a compromise, you can just appreciate it more. I think
Yeah.
when it's a compromise, it can be stickier.
Yes.
So,
Yes. I see that all the time. Yeah.
so
You
my
have the
oldest
more
sister has
enlightened part of the mystical way. You've got the awakening.
it. Oh, yeah, that's right. We have that bond because of the stream completion. That's probably also why I like the 2551s in my
Yeah.
life. And I was just thinking my best friend had it, my oldest sister had it or has it. So it's
It's
good.
fun.
We need that shock to awaken too.
For
So,
always said it's the fool or the courageous one. And
yep,
they're pretty much the same.
jumping into the abyss. So what's that like for you to have that with an open solar plexus? Complex thing to
You
even.
just hit me where it hurts right off.
My husband has it open too, open solar
Yeah.
plexus as well.
That to me has been my entire deconditioning journey has been, well, maybe not the entire thing, but the majority has been my open solar plexus. Uh,
Hmm.
Never wanting to make anybody feel bad, never wanting to really speak the truth. But it was because I hadn't accepted my truth yet. So then
Hmm.
it's worthless for other people until I'm initiated into myself. So it was this last 3 years was literally just focusing on deconditioning my solar plexus. And I have a hanging 35. So Neptune was in the 36 for almost
Yep,
for a little over three
I
years.
do too.
You have a hanging 35? Oh, one of your bridging gates is the 36. I was going to ask you about that because that's an interesting one to have as a bridging gate.
And so yeah, so that gave me that bridge for a few years, which was
Mhm.
interesting because I gave birth under that. And it was different because when you're single definition versus split, the birth experience is different. You can integrate the pain in a different way. It doesn't make it less painful, but the
Mm-hmm.
integration of pain is different. So usually at the birth, you'll have somebody bridging your split, which was my husband. And so it was interesting because in the second birth, there was a feeling of people could come and go, and I was okay. For the first one, I wanted him there the whole time. And then for the second one, it was fine. There was no auric noticeable. Maybe it too comes with like the second birth versus the first,
Sure.
but I thought that was interesting. But what was your question about it bridging? Or,
Just I feel like when people have a split and the bridging gate is the 36, the crisis that can come into their
yeah.
lives unconsciously is pretty legit.
It probably would be more intense too if I had open solar plexus because every time your emotion center is defined, it's like crisis. And I don't know, my mom has that, my daughter has that, the 3536. And me and my husband have it as electromagnetic.
Yeah,
So I'm
nice.
like, this is my geometry was like, you're gonna have a lot of experiences, adventures, and crisis, and growth through crisis and adventure. But it's like learning what is correct too and leaning into that because there's a huge difference between the crises that aren't.
Correct for you.
So
And is that a pretty hot connection to have with your husband?
I would,
Interesting.
we have both. We have the 59.6 and the 35.36. So those are, I don't know any other way with him. So
Yeah, those are two good ones.
I would say too, there's over time too. It's like one of those things that like grows and deepens over time, especially
Sure.
at probably the 59.6, 36 as well as its grounding and maturity and foundation. But
Yeah.
that one always requires adventure, newness. So if anything ever, and we have a tribal connection too. So it's like the two things I've learned that as just shut up and touch and go on a new adventure
Mm.
rather than fall off a cliff or have an explosion. Usually you could go either way. Sometimes he'll joke with me if I wigging out about something, he'll just come over and like grab me and like hug
Oh,
me. It's like realizing that there's two ways that polarity can go. So it can,
hugging or hugging or hitting, I think is how they describe it.
is it? Well, we've never had the physical violence, but we definitely had the explosions of,
I was not implying
especially younger
physical.
years. And when Ra would talk about or he'd have to like leave, my husband would have to leave because otherwise it could get really heated. And he learned early, I just need to leave. Because we laughed out loud because it was literally the second he's out of the aura, there's like calmness. Whereas I'm like doing stuff. I'm waiting for you to come back and I've got so much to say. So I had to learn how to don't do that and take accountability because I could definitely be very like, we were both very immature. I was 19, he was
Wow.
21. So
Wow.
very mature, had a lot of growing to do. But like Ra, how he talks about like, if someone's in your geometry and it's correct and you have harmony or resonance in the profile or the purpose, there's stuff for you there to learn. So there was always a core of knowing that. And it's funny
How
to
did-
hear you talk about the shock thing because my husband, I would say he's not really, doesn't, but I'm wondering if it's a tribal thing in you because you're tribal. Like, being a tribal being, I would think that's way different than being a pure individual in terms of the shock factor because he'll do things that are shocking and I'm tribal, so I'm like, oh no, like don't do that. So, but I have the defined solar plexus, so it's just interesting because like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't care as much as you
Mm,
don't care. But so I wonder if it also has to do with being tribal and
mm.
having that tribal awareness almost,
Yeah.
because that transmitter is so aware of the tribe and like, tribal rules. And so I wonder how that too colors it.
I think it's like I thought about that a lot, and I think it's such a beautiful dynamic to have. Because when it's just individual, it's just about empowerment, it's just about the shock, it's just about wake up, change, do something new. But with that, with the transmitter, there's so much support in it. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I don't just want to shock you,
Yeah.
like I really want to support you in your initiation
Initiation.
into your higher states or whatever. So there
I
is
think
such
that's
a
why it
caring
works for
component.
you, why you could do it, because it's
Yeah.
also coming with a genuine support. You're
Yeah.
saying, I saw that in the live. I thought that was cool to see you do that.
People are very important to me.
And it's like there's a care that comes with that. So I have that theme of support and empowerment. Do you have collective?
So the funny thing with me is my whole cross is collective, but they're all in undefined centers.
But
I had
like,
a
yeah, no, define.
I had a reading once, and he with do you know a lock? So I had a reading with a lock once, and it was so brutal, but there was so much truth in it. And he said to me, look, your cross is all collective and it's an open center. So it seems so open to people. You're ready to compromise with anybody. You're ready to accept anybody. And it's so true, I am. But then he's like, when your definition kicks in, you're just like very cool, very splenic, and big ego and individual. So I can have these two sides of me where people get in and I'm so, so open. But then, especially as a 1-3, I need me time and I do have a big ego and
Mhm.
I can shock. So I think it can be really hard for people to reconcile the shift there.
Well, and
Yeah.
like the 2551, Ra would always say it's loving, but it's not
Yeah.
personal.
It's not personal.
It's cool.
So,
And if you mistake it for personal,
hmm.
it can be the coldest thing you've ever experienced. And
Yeah. How do you experience that in your relationship?
I would say that that's definitely true. And I remember being younger and taking that personal. But the beauty of seeing what that love is without it being
Mhm.
personal, there's a deep appreciation that's grown over
Mhm.
time of recognizing that. But you don't want to take you don't want to. But I also have the 1020 is the same. It's not well, it's
Yeah.
personal, but even when it's personal, it's selfish. Love of self
Yeah.
through the other.
Yeah.
So like understand it. There's a recognition of I
Yeah.
get it and I see how that could be taken personal by someone when it's not, but it's not loving. It is loving, but it's different than it being a personal thing. But you have your mundane thing is through the 44, but
How has you guys met human design together?
well, I guess, but I was the one that was definitely more interested in it. But I met
Well, how did it
my
really?
thing, but
I'm always
yeah.
surprised when people meet it together, and because it has to be
Yeah.
so transformative and
Yeah.
really change the relationship. What really changed for you?
Well, awareness happens and it's like but it takes
Mhm.
time for that to
Sure.
really cellularly sink in.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm always like, I don't know, I'm very relationally oriented, always have been. That's my design. So I'm always like, how do you like sustain this like, deeper intimacy? That's such a 59.6 thing. Like, it's 59.6. So it's like, you're my soulmate. So this has to
Yeah.
exist here, right? It has to be a part of it. So going to school in marital and family therapy first before design and having that realm influencing me for a long time. There's so much beauty in that. But at the same time, there's always this guessing game of what is the correct way and almost thinking one way is correct. And oh, this means this. That I fall into that trap a lot within the relationship, right? So what human design offered me was like that roadmap of the differentiation between both of us and like recognizing that the way he did this wasn't a flaw or something to, for instance, I'm tribal. He's not. So
That's big.
for me, I always was like, you need to try you need these things. And then it's like, oh, you're a pure individual. Actually, it's different for you. And just things where you recognize over time, like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
actually. His competitive spirit or his jump into the abyss or his all of those things, it was like, that's not something that is a flaw.
Yeah.
That's like beauty of your nature. Because even family members would think, "Oh, Scott, you're still loved if you don't. You're not." He's a Capricorn. He's a double Capricorn, climbing the mountain and struck 5-1. So it's like I just see him and I'm like, "That's so you." So
Yeah.
there is a love that comes through the acceptance over time, especially because you stop trying to change the person before you. I think there's such a thing
Yeah.
in relationships, especially when maturely younger, trying to change the other person. Or I always say you can't change someone, but like there was
We
always that.
try.
Oh well, I don't know. So I
Yeah.
still definitely had all of that to work out. And the more it comes down to, can you accept this? And then when it's not personal and it's not a flaw, I think it
Yeah.
becomes easier to accept.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I've witnessed. And
Yeah.
then the more you accept it, the more you actually like it because it's not
Mm.
something to change. We have compromise, so you have the acceptance of those things too. I think the compromises are definitely classically the hardest things.
Yeah.
I have a compromise to his struggle. So it's like, oh, does this have to be so hard? But then
Mm.
growing, actually, then the flip side of it is learning how to engage the correct struggles and actually finding purpose and meaning in our relationship through that and coming out of them stronger together and having more love. So
Yeah.
I said, you watch those things, you're aware of them, but they only mean something at the surface. And then you experience them and then
Yeah.
you get to appreciate them.
Mm.
So
Once the blame is gone, then what are you left with?
yes. Especially
Yeah.
if you're someone who blames. I used to blame a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Me too.
So it's like,
Mm.
oh, well, not a flaw. Now what?
I think one of the biggest eye openers for me when I was doing a reading for this couple, and the man was very tribal. I think he was all tribal, and she was a pure individual. And one time she got up at a cafe to go get herself a glass of water because she was thirsty, and she came back with one glass of water. She didn't get him a glass, and he was like, he was like devastated. You didn't think I might be here and thirsty as well? I just came back with one water
Hmm.
for yourself. And just pointing out the difference in circuitry. And look, it didn't
Not
occur to
personal.
her. It wasn't personal. And for you, you're so tribal, you're thinking about support and all the time. So it's God, it's so beneficial when we just see tiny little things that can really
Hmm.
open up a new awareness that allows you to accept your partner and not take it personal.
He started, that's such a good point. He started doing his Instagram more because he's like a coaching program and I like all his posts and stuff because I'm like support. So I like, he's like, man, he's like, not like you. He's like, I'm realizing how little I've supported you because like he just literally
Um,
was not online. And I'm like, I just said back to him, you don't need to support me. You're individual. You can if you want, and but you don't have to force something
yeah,
to do something because it's natural to me. And it doesn't have to, what's natural to you doesn't have, and you don't actually, I'm not a believer that you have to get what you give.
sure.
You, because it would just, we'll give and get in natural, in different ways, in
Yeah,
differentiated ways. I mean,
yeah,
I think that there has to be, obviously, you get something from the other, but it's not going to be the
yeah.
same thing that you give, and it doesn't have to be.
That's
So,
what makes relationships exciting and different,
yep.
unless you just want to date yourself, which would
It's
maybe fine.
boring. Our genes aren't interested in that yet. Let's just say
No.
that. At some point, we'll be more interested, according to human design, in sameness, but we're
Yeah,
still driven by our genes, and that's
yeah,
still interesting to us.
yeah. I think that's definitely a post 2027 thing.
Yeah. And I don't even know how it's going to function fully because as long as fertility is going on, we'll still have differences in terms of genetics will still be, but there will be more and more. But I think it's like what Ross said, where it's like you recognize the places of sameness or like comfy chair that you can sit
Yeah,
in and work things out.
yeah,
But it's not going to be the whole of all of it. And I think that sameness is where we rest, but it's not necessarily where we grow or what's interesting to us
sure,
all the time.
sure.
But it's a challenge when you're different, which I like because I'm like interested in growing. So
Well, and I think then it really tests your awareness and
yeah,
your ability to surrender.
yep, definitely. So what's your journey been like so far? I'm curious. I haven't heard how you got, what was
Hmm.
your journey into design? And then I would say, what are highlights right now in terms of where you're at?
It was a very bumpy road. I'm a 1-3, so I
Yep.
bumped into it on a random Bumble date, and my date was like, "Hey, let's look at your human design." And I was like, "All right, sounds cool." And then I read something later that night, and that was it for me. It hit me to my core, and
Hmm.
I never felt seen. I think especially as a male projector, I think
Hmm.
when I look at type, I really think male projectors and female manifestors, we really have some commonalities in the way that our gender roles are switched. So life was just very confusing to me, very
Hmm.
confusing up until that point. And then I just dove in head first. So I studied everything I could possibly get my hands on. I went to the IHDS and took the courses and found a teacher and just started to study. And then I had friends of mine at the time who were like, "Wow, you're really good at this. I think you're going to do readings." And I'm like, "No, I'm not that guy. This isn't for me. I'm just really interested in it." And then I started to share about it and I started to get invitations. So it just kind of like started to unfold in the way that human design said it would. I'm a 63 son, so doubt and self-doubt is a huge not self theme of mine. And it's in an open head. And I doubted every step of my process. Nope, this isn't going to be you. Nope, you're not going to do this. And then I would do it. And then it would feel amazing. And I'm like, wow, I'm so inspired. I'm so lit up. So it's just kind of unfolded in a very surprising way.
Hmm.
And to be at this point now, I'm a little over 5 years in. I'm now starting to finally realize like, this is so my purpose. Because when I watch myself do it, it's like a different person.
Hmm.
I'm not doing it, it's just happening. So it's changed my life in so many ways. And now I just started a online community for projectors called the Projector Lounge. And there's over 100 of us in there. And so that's like my
That's
new
awesome.
journey.
That's your new thing.
Another new unexpected thing that I couldn't have seen coming.
Jumping into the abyss.
Yeah, that's my biggest advice as a 1-3. Look, perfectionism is a huge killer for everybody, especially for the 1-3. And if you don't just start it and just do it and figure it out on the way, then you're really in trouble because we're here to adapt. And third
Right.
line is like great at being resilient and adaptation, but we don't know what it is until we start, and then it starts to become aware. So
We live
everything,
on a third line
yeah,
plane.
yeah,
All of business, all of money making, all of it's third
yeah,
line. Relationships, everything's third line. It's
yeah,
trial and error, figure it out. Jump in, see how you start to learn how to swim.
yeah.
Yep. What's that? So what's it like for you to be a 1-3 in terms of the conscious part being the investigator and the body bumping into things? Just from experience, I guess. I'm just curious. I
Yeah.
know consciously that I'm a third line. And then my body is definitely suspicious, or like, what's the word? I'm not suspicious, but not trusting,
Skeptical. No,
paranoid.
parents, yeah.
There's a personality that's like so open about the trial and error, and then there's a body that's like paranoid.
So it's pretty much flipped for me, other than I just am always looking for a foundation and always
Mhm.
looking for depth and something solid. And then I've come to the conclusion that doesn't exist. I
Yes.
think you can get close to it, but
Yep.
that's not we're not living in a world that is stable. We have a sun and an earth. We're always caught in between patterns and extremes. So I think the 1-3 is really here to be the embodiment of, like, you can only know so much until you're going to have to test it out and realize what you don't know. And then
Yep.
it's like back to the drawing board. So I really see the 1-3 as like this process of constant refinement, of trying to get to something solid, but realizing there is no destination and you're never going to find it.
I think that's the wisdom of that's almost like the security of the one is
Mhm.
realizing that there is no true foundation. Get close and you can try and refine it. And then it's like always going on like that. But there's
Yeah.
always well, the third line is mutative or open, is aware of how mutative it is mutative, but it's also good at adapting to the mutation. So it's like,
If you let it do its thing. That's the problem with the one, is
yeah,
it's like, and especially in relationship was super hard for me as a 1-3, especially being unconscious and open emotional and all these other issues I had with relationships. But I found in relationship, I really wanted a solid foundation of relationship, but my body really needed space
yep.
sometimes and wanted to break the bond. And I was like, that's not okay. So then I would make
Mm.
up random drama so that I can feel comfortable saying we need to separate or we need to take space. And it was just made up stuff. And I didn't understand what that was. So it's like, I think 1-3s in relationship can be really hard if you're not comfortable asking for what your body needs. So that's something
Mhm.
I've really had to learn the hard way in my experience, because my
It's a good
personality
one to
just
have
wants it
set
to be
up.
perfect.
What was that?
My personality just wants the foundation. It just wants to keep going deeper. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily, it's not interested in breaking the bond, but my body is like, you need to chill the fuck out. We need some space.
That is such a necessity, I think, for the third line too. And that awareness of you take it or it'll be forced. I think that's why work being married to a peer individual works for me because it isn't unconventional. I would feel suffocated in all the other
Yeah.
relationships. And I remember one of the things that attracted me to him so much was that I was allowed to break the bond and there
Mhm.
wasn't this, it wasn't a drama thing. It was just healthy, splenic,
Mhm.
solid, and not like I don't care either.
Yeah.
So that felt so good because it was just like oh, I'm allowed to do this? Good. And then it became I don't need to break up to do it. And you can over time, like saying, like, how do you skillfully break the bond, which is really just getting space. It's a way to look at it. I just need to be in my own scene for a while because we can just become fused if we don't get that.
Sure.
We lose our mutative capacity, which we
Mm.
need. So that's good wisdom for the third lines, for sure.
My ex was a pure individual manifestor. And I think
Yeah.
that's why it worked so well with us, is because it's like no sense of clinginess or I can't take space when I need it, or there's just a mutual respect of like, we all need space. It's okay.
Well, that's funny because I was talking to a peer individual and they were saying they dated a lot of third lines. I'm like, so, because like there's a need for space for both. So when you have that mutual recognition in the other, it makes sense. It doesn't work with anyone who won't allow that or
Yeah.
eventually has to get there, I think.
But
So
I talk about awareness. I was the one who wasn't wanting to break the bond. I was the one that didn't have the confidence or maybe even know what I needed. I didn't know
yeah.
what was happening.
Is it harder to not being a non-energy type to break the bond, I wonder? I know it's harder to leave a relationship, right?
Yeah. Well, Ross said once, if you're a projector dating a manifestor, you're really going to have to be invited out of that
I
relationship.
remember him saying that.
You do. A lot of things Ross says, I take it with a grain of salt because he's
Right.
very sarcastic and I love his humor. But I was like, in that relationship, that was very true. But I can't tell if that was really the dynamic playing out or if I was just really still.
I don't think the person necessarily has to be the one inviting you out, but I do think there is an invitation. It could be through something else, right? An event or like, oh, there's my invitation out kind of thing. I don't know. But I do wonder about that. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm not a projector, so I haven't I
Yeah.
haven't lived
Yeah.
that life, but I do
I've been single
remember
for a
my sister's
while.
a projector. I do remember it was hard for her to leave things. It'd have to get to a certain point. Well, she's splenic too. I wonder if it had to get to a point where it wasn't healthy for her to, I don't know. I just remember being like, get out of that really, leave that really, but also making break the bonds over here. So who knows? She's a 352 though.
Yeah.
So splenic ego or ego, splenic ego projector.
Hmm.
So
Is she a 4426 too?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, I have you guys in my life. I think it's
Yeah.
because I grew up with, so you like know certain energies and you like it. Because splenic ego our projectors are so different than mental projectors are so different
Yeah.
than emotional projectors. You guys are all just very different. Could be your own type category.
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
and it's even funny how you can feel the MG versus the generator. It's just a different vibe. And definitely can tell the manifestors. My mom's a manifestors in my
Mm.
life. And
How's it having a manifestor mother?
I think because I had the 59-6, I just got her. She's also a 58-18. And I remember just as a young, they love through correction.
Yeah.
And it's collective correction, but like, the way that's like true for the way that's not self. When they're correcting out of, I'm correcting you because I want something for myself, when it's personal,
Yeah.
that's when it's distorted, not self. But when they're correcting out of, I'm doing this because I love
I
for the
love
greater of you and the greater, like, it's a greater. I saw that. I remember just I could read between the lines and I'm like, really what this is saying is I want the best for you.
Yeah.
And I
Wow.
remember my older sister having difficulty with that and feeling like she had a harder time connecting through that barrier with my mom. So I think it depends on just like
Mm.
design. My projector middle sister had a closer relationship in a way, maybe because of the open sacral on some level they got each other in that way maybe like I think it just depends but for me I had a really close relationship with her but I remember friends being like I thought your mom didn't like me and then I got to know her because it was like you had to be on the inside to
Yeah.
not feel the pushback and then when I learned she was a manifestor I was just laughing because of course you are like that's why that was always that way because I remember thinking how come you aren't very you are you do push away people when they're not on the inside of the family. It's not even anything she's doing either. It's just like it's auric. So it's just
Yeah.
funny to learn that and be like, oh, and that's why whenever I'm like, Mom, you should do that. She's like, I'll talk to you later. Try to like direct her in any way. And she's just like, all right, I gotta get going. And it was just always a running joke between me and my sisters. I can't tell Mom anything. I was like, oh, it's because she's a manifestor. So checks out. But
Mm.
it's funny to know those things about your family. That also
I think
allows for more acceptance.
so much healing. I tell every projector I come across, I'm like, get all the charts of all your family members and your parents, and then start studying those. Don't worry about yourself right now, but just start studying your
Especially
own
for the
people.
projectors. What about you? Like your family? Were you a projector with other projectors, with generators, with manifestors?
We had everything but a reflector. So my dad's self-projected, my mom's a generator, my first sister is a generator, then my younger brother's a manifestor. So I grew up most of my life in the same room as him. So I feel like I got a good insight into a manifestor and maybe why I had such a special connection with manifestors when I first started human design.
Mm,
Majority of my clients and people I was attracting were manifestors, which was not what it was supposed to be. But I think there also something with the 5125. I think there's something in there that really
mm,
gets
hmm
manifestors. And the younger sister projector also. So we just had but it was there was four of us, so there was six in total, and it was just chaos. We had friends over all the time, and it was just like wild times. But everyone was so different. The funny thing in my family is both my parents have open egos, and the first three of us have
Four kids, open ego, man.
no, my kids with open. First three of us had heavily defined egos and G centers also.
They needed a balance.
Oof. So we were all so strong-willed and so different. at the same time.
Mhm.
So we were just like, I couldn't
You're
imagine.
like, what do we do with all this willpower?
Where do you want to go to dinner tonight? Worst question you could ever ask. Any of us, our family, my poor mother, still traumatized from that question.
Both of my two older sisters defined hearts, and my mom a defined heart. My dad open heart, but very not self open heart of like
Uh,
killing himself to
yeah,
just do it all. Typical generator, just oh, he
brutal.
had heart surgery and he has two stents in his heart, and
Wow,
he has the 21st gate in an open heart, which is related to the
that's
heart.
brutal.
When I was like, whoa, that's crazy. That makes so much sense. Because like he would force that willpower force to like be the man of the house, right? And then my oldest sister had the 25 51
Mm,
and the 21st gate. So she
mm,
had the defined ego with the 21.
yeah,
And so they would just like losing control.
yeah.
And my two older sisters would just compete all day long because my projector sister had half of so that she would try to compete with the older sister and
Yeah.
then lose and be super upset about it. And I was just like over here with an open heart. What? I don't know, just not ever. Because I think being the youngest too, it was just like, I'm not gonna win a race with you guys, so I'm just gonna like, do my own
Yeah.
thing.
That's a
But
good position to be in with the open heart.
luckily, you two battle it out. I'm not in this. Although I do remember thinking, like, am I lazy? Because my mom and sisters all had the definition. So I remember thinking, my mom was like, if you want to do something, you can do anything. Because it was true that it was sometimes a ton of willpower and sometimes no willpower.
Yeah.
And so I just remember being like, I don't know, like, I can't force it. It's either there or it's not there.
Mm. How
I
do you come to
kind of
terms
just
with
thought
how
people that did were crazy
to compete?
to force things.
Divorce.
Or just like the willpower, like once you commit, commitment means so much. To me, I don't really want to commit to that, which
Uh,
was healthy for me, but my
right.
whole life I thought that was not a good thing. But so you decondition the whole idea that it's not. But then it was like, oh, it's healthy for me not to commit. That's a weird concept that I like. But what were you gonna say?
No, I think you kind of answered my question. I was just wondering how you decondition the open ego because I see that as my whole life growing up, I never really understood. I'd have people just compete with me constantly or single me out and attack me or just like, throw. It was always like I pretended like I wasn't competitive. And I was like, I'm just this chill for God. Why are people competing with me? Well, I was just not owning the fact that I am competitive. Do have this very strong will. So I think it was me backing away from that power. Other people take it and amplify it, and then you get this screwed up
I
relationship.
would say it's true for the 25-51 that people you naturally bring a competitive spirit to
Yeah.
wherever you are, obviously,
Yeah.
especially for opens that are like amplifying it and not self. I would say that's true. I watched that happen with my husband,
Mm,
competition happening.
from
It's like
other people.
he's competitive, but I just watch it happen in all arenas.
Mm.
I think that's a thing. I think I heard someone say that. I can't remember if it was Raw about that channel too.
It's an interesting one when you don't know.
But I would say definitely the open heart and deconditioning that stuff, trying to prove, oh goodness. But I was
Mm.
never really trying to prove myself competitively. I think because I didn't have any part of that. It was always trying to prove that I was like a good person or a hard worker. Oh,
Mm.
the 40, I have the 40. So it's
Yeah.
like always trying to prove I'm a good friend or that like, I can contributing, working and stuff. And I think that's also a generator thing too, where you feel guilt about not working for others or giving your sacral energy away. So I would burn myself out and then have to break the bond to re
Bye.
see you guys. I got a dip. But then it's learning your limits. And then when I became a mother, learning that all again like a newborn, I was
Mm.
like, because it's like I just at the 40 works for those they love. And so when you have children, I've never loved something so much. So you have to, or I had to really. And my son is, we're a 9 and 0 connection and he has
Mm.
a defined heart. And when you have an open heart as a mother and a defined heart baby, there's like feeling of you can really overdo it, trying to prove yourself as a mother.
Mm.
And I really experienced that really resonated with me when I read that. And the awareness of that over time is like, oh, I don't have to like kill myself to prove I'm a good mother. I can be a
Yeah.
good mother in the ways that are correct, not through willpower, forcing it all the time.
How do you parent with human design? This is a huge topic that keeps coming up everywhere. And I've been living with my sister and her family for the last 2 months. And so I'm in the getting to witness what actual energy and attention is required to raise kids. It's wild. So how do you balance that? And how has human design helped you with that?
I really feel so. I feel like first relationships are human growing machines, and then parenting is a human growing machine. It will suss out all of
Yeah.
your not self quick
Yeah.
because the energy gets used up. So you really have to be aware of how you're
Mm.
using it, and it will show you your limits really quick. Because when I first had my son, I'd never been a mother before, and so my naivete about the output and
Yeah.
energy required, just like I didn't have the experience, right? So
Yeah.
there was no
Sure.
experience there. And as a third line, you're going to have to go through the trial and error and you're going to get better at being aware of that, right? But like I was literally like trying to grow my business while simultaneously becoming a new mom and having no experience with that. So I really hit a wall a few times to the point where my body would like quit and I almost would be hungover. And it was crazy because I was like, I've been sober for that long. And like, I just would feel like I'd have like horrible migraine headaches. I threw up a few times, just trying to output the same output. So I really like overdid it. I almost feel like that's an open ego thing too for me because the 40th gate is the heart or stomach. So I would
Mm.
literally get ill and throw up
Mm.
when I would like, force willpower. And it was almost like I was trying to give the same amount of energy to my tribe that I was now needing to give to my son. So, anyways, that was an interesting
So
experience.
how did you have to balance it, or did you low down with work, or
I
how did?
definitely slowed down and then I
Mm.
would try to go back in and it would be like a it's not correct even though you
Mm.
really love it and you really want to do it. So I definitely think the way and then I quit altogether. So I went from like
Yeah.
15th gate extremes. So I went from different extremes of the way overdoing it
Yeah.
and then totally quitting and not doing anything besides being a mother, which
Mm.
both taught me things, right? Both, and then now I'm stepping back in, but then I'm pregnant again, so I'm in this space of just almost like hyper vigilance around my output. But
Mm.
at the same time, it's much more, I'm not in a rush. I've got my whole life. It will unfold in the correct timing. I don't want to kill myself to get there. I have
Mm.
nothing to prove. There's,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of that that's really grounding me. But it's definitely one of those things where you have to learn that. And I'm emotional too. So it's like I have to honor my moods and being a mother. It's like an acceptance of in those days where the energy's low to honor that and have other activities that you do with your kids on those slow
Mm.
days, right? They're emotional too, so maybe it's fine.
Mm.
But it's
Yeah.
like there's a rhythm, right? There's some days where we like, go and do a bunch of things, and there's days where we just chill and do more inward things. So I had to get all of those things in place in terms of what are we going to do when I'm not in the mood to like, go be out in the world and I have a lot of output. Energy ebbs and flows. I think that's a
Yeah.
15th gate thing too. So of honoring the extremes of energy because sometimes it's like a ton and then other times it's like I'm not a typical I'm not like I don't know. I don't have a root defined and I don't have a heart defined and I'm emotional and I have the 15th gate. I don't know. There's a lot of variability in my energy. So I've had to learn to honor that.
And what's the 59.6?
What'd you
Should
say?
really quick.
I'm gonna message my husband.
I heard the kids they're watching for puppy days, and I hear them stirring. I know they're going to come down.
I probably also have to wrap up soon. Yep, my husband just grabbed the kids and we're like, juggling all these things today because we're going on a trip tomorrow for our anniversary. So
Where are you guys headed?
up near Mendocino.
Beautiful.
Mhm. You were in California for a while, right? Southern California?
So I grew up in Southern California.
But your
Yeah.
family's in Connecticut now, or your sister,
No,
or
just my sister's here. I
okay.
know I wanted to leave California, and I've been wanting to leave for like 6 years. So I sold everything I owned, rented out my car for the last year of its lease, and have just been floating around.
Cool. That's fun to like go to the East Coast. It's a totally different scene.
Yeah, super different. It's so funny too because I had a psychic reading like 4 years ago, and the
Hmm.
guy's like, "Are you on the East Coast?" And I was like, "No, I'm in Southern California." He's like, "Oh, I see you like working on the East Coast," and I was like, "That makes no sense. I don't like the East Coast." And now here I am doing
That's
human
so
design stuff.
funny. And then you're house sitting, right? So you're gonna be there for a while.
So I'm going back to Cape Cod.
How
Yeah,
long will you
and
be house sitting for?
they don't come until next summer. So I think I could stay as long as I want.
Cool. That's kind of
Yeah,
perfect. That's awesome.
yeah, it'll be a nice place to just land.
Cool.
I wanted to ask you about the 59.6 because this is a
Oh,
channel that I
yeah.
think fascinates me and everyone in human design. There's some really interesting figures who have that energy, and I feel like it's a bit projectory or a breaker, being able to penetrate
Right.
people's. How have you experienced that? in your
Well, it's
life?
funny because when Ra would talk about projectors in terms of seers, I really resonate with that. Are you
Yeah.
sure I'm not a projector? Because aura breaking thing, I do feel like I almost feel like, because I've known some projectors, I almost feel like I see clearer than they do, but I think it's in a different way, and every projector
Mhm.
sees differently.
Sure.
And there is a one-on-one thing that was with projectors that's different than
Mhm.
generators, where it's like I can be in a group, certain things, or I don't know. Maybe it's like my husband and the way he sees things, because he is not as relational in the way he sees things, but he sees
Yeah.
things differently.
Yeah.
And the way he sees things, oh, I need your little see this for me. So it's different, a different type of seeing. Mine's more
Yeah.
relational. Mine's more
Yeah.
emotional. Mine's more feeler. I'm also
Mhm.
feeling cognition, so there's
Mhm.
that. But it's definitely one where it can be misread too, which is funny my whole life. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's why that happens. I was just being friendly, or I was just being nice. Like, I don't get it. But when did you ever hear him say that, like about the woman she's sitting in a bar and she glances
Yeah.
over at the clock and for a millisecond she makes eye contact with the guy and then he comes over and she's like, "Oh no, thank you." He's like, super
Yeah.
pissed off. So I can understand. I'm like, how did they get that from that? I was literally
Mhm.
just saying hello.
And the fifth line body. I feel like
Mm.
having a body in the
It's
59.6,
unconscious.
that makes sense.
Checks out.
Do you feel when the sacral lights up, it's always towards some sort of connection? It's always towards some sort of like birthing of
Or
some creativity or
it can be creative, it can be connection based. But
mm,
there has to be a fertility there, and that's when it also will say no if there's no potential for fertility
mm,
there. So you don't control it. And it goes ebbs and flows, right? So it's I have prongs to all of the waves except for the 1222. So I experience them throughout the lunar cycle, right? I just have my wave consistently. And so I'd say the difference is that, well, that one's definitely subtle, the 59.6, and it's more of a open and closed to connection.
mm,
Sometimes I'm in the mood to socialize. Other times I just want to
yeah,
be in my own cocoon. They're so different, the waves.
so different.
I always feel like crazy when I have my 55 connected to the 39. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, the 39 must be connected. And the dropping off the cliff is funny for the collective ones because literally
Yeah,
everything's great.
yeah.
It's just only going to get better, right? And then you just boom. And you're like, but it's like almost less personal in a way though, which is
Mm.
interesting. The tribal one I feel like is definitely more of a ratcheting personal, either a good cry or but have what? You have the 37.
I have the 37, the 55, and the 35, and the 19. Yeah, so I got all of them
Yeah,
too. There was a
you
pi-
for an open solar plexus being, you ride a lot of waves.
I got a lot of waves happening and I'm getting
Yeah.
much more comfortable with them. But I went
Yeah.
through a not long ago a transit where forget what the planets were, but within 2 weeks, all of them were going to be activated one by one, and I
Yeah.
was aware of it. It was wild.
Wasn't that recently-ish? Or I
I
feel
think
like
it was
I
a
just
couple
had a
of
bunch of weight. I feel like I just came
it.
out of having like 39,
Yeah, the
55,
30.
and I had the 4130, and I was like,
Yeah,
we were riding a lot of waves for a while.
too
We
many
all
waves.
collectively had like 1222 for a while.
The
Yeah.
35-36 was there for a long time too.
Yes, that was there for a very long time. That's my most familiar one though, so I'm like, I gotcha. Been there, done
Yeah,
that. No, I'm just
been
kidding.
there, done that for the
35,
last 3 years.
as the 35 says. But it is nice when they do clear out a little bit. I feel more stable for sure. But I'm like so used to riding so many. It just made sense when I saw that. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah,
why it's so variable for me. And I
yeah.
think it's interesting to not have them consistently too, because you don't. I remember being always trying to figure out why I would have the
Hmm.
different experience on them. Why sometimes it would be
Hmm.
super subtle and other times it would be like crazy spike up or whatever. And
Hmm.
so I did that movie of blaming it on oh, what's wrong? Oh, it's something, it's what I ate. Oh, it's because I didn't do
Uh-huh.
this. It's because I didn't do that. Or I remember just being like, how do I not go in the low? Because I have open spleen. I don't know if it's trying to feel good all the time. And then I remember before even human design being like embracing it. I have writings I was reading of where I would be talking about embracing the low and what it gave me, what I saw in that time. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, shit.
Wow.
It was like, because what are you going to do when that's your movie? I
Get
mean,
really depressed.
I guess.
That's what I did.
True, I guess. There was a level of awareness of trust in myself and following my own
Mm,
kind of thing, though. And also 10-20, maybe that to yourself in the now and being like, oh, I get a lot from this. I
mm.
got a lot from these lows. I learned a lot from these things.
Are you a writer? What do you do
Yeah,
creatively?
I don't have anything published, but I've been like writing my whole life, definitely.
Yeah,
So makes sense. 43-23, 10-20. So it's
yeah.
got to come out of me somehow. I used to do like voice memos too. I think that's probably a G center to the throat thing where you're just like stream of consciousness,
Mm, yeah,
Also structuring. You're always trying to structure your knowing. So your
yeah,
writing helps get it out so you can see
yeah.
it. So I know your two channels. Do you have other channels besides those two or those are,
Yep, that's
yeah,
it.
that's what I thought,
Yeah,
but I couldn't remember if you had anything else. What's your
yeah.
cross? You have the 64.
Consciousness, 64, 535.
Well,
So our suns
I have the
connect.
fourth gate as my
Yeah.
one, which I guess because you saw my
I
chart.
was looking up your fourth gate earlier and I was like, oh, this is really funny. I was going through the lines of the four because
Yeah.
it's not what I thought, but the first line is pleasure. Like
Uh-huh.
how is the first line of the four pleasure? This makes no sense. I'm like, oh, it's about timing, and as long as you don't force the timing, then it can be really pleasurable to understand things.
Ron and I both had the 4.3.
He was a 4-3?
His whole mind was he was also
Third line.
4.3.
What's the 4-3 all about?
Irresponsibility. No, I'm just kidding. But there is a sense of living away. I'm not responsible for this answer. Here you go.
Uh,
No, what is the line? I can't even recall it off the top of my head. But it has to deal with what is it? The muse is more interesting than or the art is more interesting than the artist, or what is that? Or it's like you almost care about the concept is more interesting than applying it.
yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
the detriment of it. But I don't know.
Uh,
I can't articulate it. I don't know. But seeking answers has definitely been the theme of my life consciously. Always looking for what is the pattern? What is the logical? What is the answer? Try this,
Mm,
try that, try this. Does this work? But then the mistake is thinking that the answer is going to work.
yeah.
So learning, I always have an answer and it seems like it's correct in my
Mm,
mind, but it doesn't
mhm.
mean it will be. But 43 is also part of my cross. So there have been times where the answers have been ahead of their time and then they just take time to like come out.
Interesting.
And you're like, oh, I was right. I thought everyone
Mm,
was saying I was crazy. And it's like,
mm.
oh, that was correct or whatever.
Oh, that's gotta
Yeah,
feel good.
I guess. It likes to be recognized though, too, because it's projected
Mm,
probably. That's the whole thing with the individual circuitry is like, can I explain it? Can it
yeah,
mutate? Can it make sense? So it's really satisfying when it makes sense to
mm,
someone.
yeah,
When someone comes back around and they're like, that thing you were saying, I disagreed with
yeah.
you then, but then actually it changed
Mm,
something and now I see where you're coming from thing.
mm.
That I think that's the more I hear my children out
Yeah,
there.
they're stirring.
There's a door opening right now. Hello. Let me wrap up, my love. You're here now. You got a package? Thank you. Hi, Thad. I'm gonna say goodbye and then I'm gonna come down and say hi to you guys. Do you want to say hi? They're both like, I want to do the podcast.
Come on, I could go get the 7 and 4.5-year-old. We could do a. You gonna go to the park? I just went to the park and we played some catch with the baseball. Hey,
You got chocolate all over you, I see. You eat some
you
chocolate?
had chocolate.
Or what's that?
A cookie.
Oh, a cookie.
Oh,
Yeah,
lucky.
peanut butter
A
jelly.
cookie after a peanut butter and jelly. Oh, that sounds
What?
good.
What kind of cookie was it? Chocolate chip?
Yeah.
Yes. How do I know?
Yeah. You sing for us?
Are you a good singer?
He always
How
takes
old
my
are
microphone
you?
and sings into it.
Like this. She tried to do repeat I think.
That's like I gotta go.
Oh,
Our wrap up is an interesting day. I like your
this
little
has
song.
been my life lately too, so it's
Yeah.
so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Design is taking us back more towards that time in our lives. I think that's what it's
Yes.
for. They're just you what
Unlock the new
person?
Yeah, in my
Oh, in Minecraft.
I'll do it. I'll do a post.
Oh, you unlocked a new person.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
Minecraft.
yeah, I know all about Minecraft.
Loves it.
Yeah, that's a
That's
fun one.
pretty cool. I was playing it with him earlier. I was like,
It's fun. I have a younger-ish brother. He's 20 now, but he was like a gamer and he would play all the time and like build worlds. I'm like, oh my gosh, you
I
can
know.
really,
It's crazy what they can do because you can
yeah,
play in creative mode.
How do you
yeah,
how
yes.
Well,
good spot today and I gave in into a tape, and I'm trying to make a portal to the place where the Ender Dragon is to eat it.
Yeah. It's not good. Like isn't it like once you fall, then you lose everything that you've been working for? Like you
If
lose
you're
your
playing in
stuff.
survival mode, but if you're in creative mode, you're invincible.
Okay. I like that one better.
But I do, he's playing in survival mode. He's just like, change this for me.
No.
Why did I lose all my stuff?
Yeah, that's harsh.
I was like, what? Are you serious? Why did I lose all my stuff?
Yeah.
I'm serious.
It's hard getting all that stuff.
He wants to keep his inventory.
Yeah. That's yeah. Well, good luck with the Endo Dragon. I know he's a tough opponent.
Well, we'll have another chat, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was just fun putting a face to your Instagram profile. So
actually connect. I mean, I kind of felt like I connected with you because you can a little bit, but it was fun to actually talk back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
So they're joining me. I'll do a little outro. So this won't be it, but
okay.
Thanks for your time.
Hey,
have a good rest.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
Bye.
See you guys.
Okay, bye. Bye.